The cargo bay was dark and cold. Tejo held his flashlight in one hand and his tool bag in the other. He walked slowly through the abandoned ship. The vessel had been floating in space for weeks before the station pulled it in. Now it was his job to strip it for parts. He was 29 years old then, young and strong. His hands were rough from years of work, and his eyes were tired from long nights. But he loved his job. There was something peaceful about fixing broken things. The ship groaned around him, metal settling, nothing unusual. Tejo had been inside hundreds of dead ships. They all made sounds like dying animals. He checked the engine room first, mostly junk. Then he moved to the storage areas. That was where he found it. At first, he thought it was a pile of white cloth. It was tucked into the corner behind some old crates. But then the cloth moved. And then he saw the eyes, golden eyes, bright like two small suns. They stared at him with fear and pain. Tejo dropped his tool bag. He fell back against the wall. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. The creature lifted its head. It was like nothing he had ever seen. A long neck covered in white scales that shone like pearls. A face that was sharp and beautiful, with a mouth full of small teeth. Two wings folded against its body. And those eyes, those golden eyes that seemed too intelligent for an animal. It was a dragon. That was the only word that came to his mind. A dragon made of moonlight. The creature tried to move away from him, but when it did, it let out a cry of pain. One of its wings dragged on the floor at a wrong angle. The membrane was torn. The bones were clearly broken. Tejo stood very still. He did not run. He did not call for help. He just looked at the wounded creature and felt something twist in his chest. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey, it is okay. I am not going to hurt you." The dragon watched him. Its body was shaking. Tejo slowly sat down on the floor. He made himself small, less scary. He remembered doing this once with a stray cat on his home planet when he was a boy. "You are hurt," he said. "I can see that. Your wing is broken." The creature did not move, but it did not try to run again either. Tejo reached into his pocket and pulled out a ration bar. He always carried one for long jobs. He broke off a piece and placed it on the floor between them. "Here, food. You must be hungry." For a long time, nothing happened. Then slowly, the dragon stretched its neck forward. It sniffed the food. And then it ate. Tejo smiled. "Good. That is good." He spent the next 3 days on that ship. He told his supervisor he needed more time to finish the salvage job. It was a lie, but he did not care. He learned quickly that the creature could not fly. The wing was too damaged. If he left it here, it would die. And for some reason, he could not explain. That thought was unbearable to him, so he fixed it. He was not a doctor. He knew nothing about alien biology, but he knew how to fix broken things. That was his whole life. He used thin metal rods from the ship's frame. He bent them carefully to match the shape of the wing bones. He used soft synthetic cloth to wrap the torn membrane. He worked slowly, talking to the dragon the whole time. "This might hurt a little. I am sorry. I will be gentle." The dragon watched him with those golden eyes. Sometimes it made soft sounds, not angry sounds, more like questions. "I do not know what you are," Tejo admitted one night. He was sitting beside the creature, eating his dinner. "I have never seen anything like you. Maybe you are rare. Maybe you are the last of your kind. I do not know." The dragon tilted its head. "But that does not matter," Tejo continued. "You are alive. You are hurt, and I can help. That is enough reason." On the third night, he woke up to find the dragon standing. It was testing its wing, moving it up and down. The splint was holding. Tejo sat up. "Hey, be careful." The dragon looked at him. There was something different in its eyes now. Something that almost looked like understanding. It walked toward him. Tae-ho held his breath. The creature was bigger than he had realized. If it wanted to hurt him, it could. But instead, the dragon lowered its head. It pressed its forehead gently against his chest. Just for a moment. A soft touch. And then it pulled away. Tae-ho did not know what it meant. But it felt like thank you. "You are welcome," he whispered. The next morning, he opened the cargo bay airlock. The station was connected to the ship, but beyond the loading dock was open space. A small gap, easy for something with wings. The dragon stood at the edge. It looked back at him one last time. "Go," Tae-ho said. "Go find your family." And it did. With one powerful leap, the creature launched itself into the darkness. Its white scales caught the starlight for just a moment, and then it was gone. Tae-ho stood there for a long time. Then he picked up his tools and went back to work. He never told anyone. What was there to say? He found an animal, he fixed it, it left. That was all. Years passed. He got married, he had a daughter. His wife got sick and died. He grew old. The memory of the white dragon faded like a dream. He forgot. Because that was what humans did with small kindnesses. They did them and moved on. But the dragon did not forget. 23 years had passed since that night on the abandoned ship. Tae-ho was an old man now. His hair was gray. His back hurt when he bent down too long. His hands were still rough, but they moved slower than before. His repair shop was small. Just 3 rooms on the lower level of Station Goryeo 7. The sign above the door said, "Tae-ho's Repairs," in faded letters. His wife had painted that sign before she died. He never changed it. The shop was quiet these days. Too quiet. Yuna came in from the back room. She was 22 years old, with her mother's kind eyes and her father's stubborn chin. She held a tablet in her hands and her face looked worried. "Father," she said, "we lost another contract." Tae-ho did not look up from the engine part he was cleaning. "Which one?" "The Kim family. They are using the automated drones now. Said it was cheaper." He nodded slowly. This was not new. Every month, more customers left. The big corporations had machines that could do repairs faster and cheaper than any human. Why pay an old man when a robot could do it in half the time? "We still have the station maintenance work," Tae-ho said. Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Father, we need to talk about the offer." He finally looked up. His eyes were hard. "No. They are offering good money. Enough for us to start over somewhere else. Buy a small place on one of the inner planets. You could retire." I said no. The offer was from the Hegemony mining conglomerate. They were a massive corporation that controlled mining operations across 3 star systems. For the past year, they had been buying up the entire residential sector of the station. They wanted to turn it into worker housing for their employees. Everyone was selling. Everyone except Tae-ho. "This shop was your mother's dream," he said quietly. "She wanted a place where people could come when they needed help. A place that felt like home. I will not sell it to those people." Yuna sighed. She understood, but understanding did not pay the bills. That afternoon, a man came to the shop. He wore an expensive suit and had the cold smile of someone who was used to getting what he wanted. His name was Director Kang, and he worked for the conglomerate. "Mr. Tae-ho," he said, "I hope you have thought about our offer." "I have," Tae-ho replied. "My answer is still no." Director Kang's smile did not change, but something dark moved behind his eyes. "That is unfortunate. We are trying to be fair. The price we offered is more than your shop is worth." "My shop is worth more than money. Everything has a price." Tae-ho put down his tools and stood up straight. Even at his age, he was not a small man. "Not everything. Some things are priceless. You would not understand." Director Kang studied him for a long moment. Then he turned and walked to the door. Before he left, he said, "You should think carefully about your future, Mr. Tae-ho, and your daughter's future. The station can be an unfriendly place for those who do not cooperate. After he was gone, Yuna came out from the back. Her face was pale. "Father, that sounded like a threat." It was. "What are we going to do?" Tae-ho did not answer. He just went back to work. The trouble started the next week. First, their supply shipments were delayed, then canceled completely. The company said there were logistical problems. Tae-ho knew better. The conglomerate had connections everywhere. Then came the inspections. Safety officers showed up every other day, finding problems that had never existed before. Faulty wiring, improper storage, fire hazards. Each violation came with a fine. The fines added up quickly. Hyunwoo came to visit one evening. He was Tae-ho's oldest friend on the station. They had known each other for 30 years. He worked as the security chief, which meant he heard things. "They want you gone," Hyunwoo said quietly. They were sitting in the back of the shop, sharing a bottle of cheap rice wine. "Director Kang has been talking to the station council. He says you are blocking progress, hurting the economy. I am one old man with a repair shop. You are a symbol. As long as you stay, others might get the same idea. They want to crush that hope." Tae-ho took a long drink. "What can I do? I have no money for lawyers, no connections to powerful people. I am nobody." Hyunwoo shook his head. "You are not nobody. You are my friend. But I do not know how to help you. These people are too big." After Hyunwoo left, Tae-ho sat alone in the dark shop. On the wall, there was a photograph of his wife. She was smiling in the picture. She always smiled. "I am sorry, Mina," he whispered. "I am trying, but I do not think I can win this fight." He thought about giving up, selling the shop, taking the money and walking away. Maybe Yuna was right. Maybe it was time to let go. But then he looked at that photograph again, at his wife's smile, at the dream she had built with her own hands. No, he would not give up. Not yet. He did not know that help was coming. He did not know that far across the galaxy, someone had been searching for him for over 20 years. Someone who remembered a dark cargo bay, a broken wing, and the gentle hands of a human who had saved her life. The stars were about to change. It was a normal morning on Station Goryeo 7. People went to work, ships came and left. Nothing special, nothing different. And then the alarms started. Yuna was in the shop when the emergency lights turned red. A loud voice came over the speakers. "Attention all residents. Unknown vessels detected. Multiple contacts. This is not a drill. All civilians stay in your homes." She ran to find her father. He was already at the window, looking out into space. "What is happening?" she asked. Tae-ho did not answer. His face was white. Outside the station, ships were appearing. Not one or two, hundreds. They came out of nowhere, dropping from faster-than-light travel like ghosts, becoming solid. They filled the darkness. Each ship was massive, covered in scales like armor. They looked like living creatures made of metal and starlight. Yuna had never seen anything like them, but she had heard stories. "Valkorians," she whispered. The Valkorians were legends, an ancient species that had been traveling the stars when humans were still living in caves. They were powerful beyond imagination. Their technology was so advanced that humans could not even understand how it worked. And they did not like other species. They kept to themselves, far away from everyone else. When they did appear, it usually meant destruction. The station council sent out emergency messages. They begged for help from nearby military bases. But everyone knew the truth. If the Valkorians wanted to destroy them, no one could stop them. Hours passed. The fleet just waited there, silent and terrifying. No weapons fired, no communication came. The station held its breath. Then, finally, a single small ship left the fleet. It flew slowly toward the station, like a leaf falling from a tree. It landed in the main docking bay. Hyunwoo was there with his security team. His hands were shaking, but he stood his ground. 50 armed guards stood behind him. They all knew their weapons were useless against Velkorians. But they had to try. The door of the small ship opened. Light poured out, white and pure. And then she appeared. She was the most beautiful and terrifying creature any of them had ever seen. She walked on 4 legs, each one ending in claws that could cut through steel. Her body was covered in scales that shone like fresh snow. 2 great wings folded against her back. Her neck was long and elegant, and her face was sharp and noble. But it was her eyes that stopped them all. Golden eyes. Bright like 2 small suns. She was an albino. Among Velkorians, that was sacred. Holy. The albinos were said to be touched by their goddess. They were the highest leaders, the most powerful. Behind her walked a dozen normal Velkorians. Their scales were dark blue and green. They moved like guards protecting their queen. Hyunwoo stepped forward. His voice was steady, even though his heart was racing. "I am Security Chief Hyunwoo. On behalf of Station Goryeo 7, I welcome you. How may we serve you?" The albino Velkorian looked at him. When she spoke, her voice was deep and smooth, like music made of thunder. "I am Seraphael, Elder of the Sacred Flame, Matriarch of 40 Star Systems. I have come a long way." Hyunwoo bowed his head. "We are honored by your presence. What brings you to our humble station?" Seraphael was quiet for a moment. Then she said words that changed everything. "I am looking for a human. His name is Tae-ho." The silence that followed was complete. Every person in the docking bay stared at her. Surely they had heard wrong. Surely this great and powerful being had not traveled across the galaxy to find an old mechanic. Hyunwoo blinked. "Tae-ho? The repair shop owner?" "Yes." "May I ask why?" Seraphael's golden eyes seemed to look through him. "That is between him and me. Bring him here." An hour later, Tae-ho stood in the council chamber. He was still wearing his work clothes, covered in grease stains. Yuna stood beside him, holding his hand. Around them were council members, conglomerate executives, and Velkorian guards. The whole room was tense with fear and confusion. Seraphael entered. The crowd parted like water before her. She walked toward Tae-ho. With each step, the floor seemed to shake. She was massive up close. Her head alone was bigger than his whole body. Her claws clicked on the metal floor. Tae-ho did not run. He was too old and too tired to be afraid. He just looked up at her and waited. Seraphael stopped in front of him. For a long moment, she just studied his face. Those golden eyes moved over every line, every wrinkle, every gray hair. Then, slowly, she lowered her great head. Her forehead almost touched the floor. She bowed. The room gasped. Even her own guards looked shocked. An elder bowing to anyone was rare. An elder bowing to a human was impossible. But there she was, the most powerful Velkorian in 100 years, kneeling before an old man in dirty clothes. "Tae-ho," Seraphael said softly. "I have been searching for you for 23 years, and finally I have found you." Tae-ho stared at her. His mind was blank. He had no idea what was happening. "I am sorry," he said slowly, "but I do not know who you are." Seraphael lifted her head. And if a dragon could smile, she smiled. "You would not remember. You helped so many. One more wounded creature meant nothing to you." Her voice was gentle now, almost sad. "But I remember. I remember a dark ship, a broken wing, and a human who saved my life when he had nothing to gain." And suddenly, like a door opening in his mind, Tae-ho remembered. A white creature hiding in the shadows, golden eyes full of fear, a wing wrapped in cloth and metal. "That was you?" he whispered. "That was me." The council chamber was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. They were all watching the old mechanic and the great dragon who had crossed the stars to find him. Tae-ho's mind was spinning. Memories he had buried for over 20 years came rushing back. The dark cargo bay, the frightened creature, the broken wing. He had almost forgotten it completely. It was just a small thing, a moment in a long life full of moments. But to Seraphale, it was everything. "Please," the elder said. "Let me tell my story. Let them all hear." She turned to face the crowd. Her golden eyes swept across the room, the council members, the conglomerate executives, the station workers who had gathered at the doors. They all shrank back under her gaze. 23 years ago, I was young and foolish. I thought I was strong enough to fly alone. I wanted to prove myself. So I left my family and traveled far from our space. Her voice was calm, but there was old pain in it. I was captured by poachers. They wanted to sell me. Among some species, Velcorian parts are worth more than gold. Scales, bones, eyes. She paused. Especially from an albino. Yuna covered her mouth. The thought was horrible. I managed to escape their ship, but I was badly hurt. My wing was broken. I could not fly. I could not call for help. I crashed into an old vessel that was drifting near a human station, and I hid in the cargo bay. I was waiting to die. She turned back to Tae-ho. And then you came. You found me. A strange creature you had never seen before. I could not speak your language. I could not tell you who I was. I was just a wounded animal in the dark. Tae-ho nodded slowly. He remembered. Most beings would have done one of several things, Seraphale continued. They would have killed me for my parts. They would have reported me to authorities for a reward. They would have studied me, experimented on me, or they would have simply walked away and left me to die. She lowered her head closer to him. Her golden eyes were soft. But you did none of those things. You sat down on the floor and made yourself small. You gave me food from your own meal. You spent 3 days fixing my wing with pieces of scrap metal and cloth. You talked to me gently, even though you knew I could not understand. And when I was healed, you let me go. You asked for nothing. You told no one. You just went back to work. Tae-ho felt something warm on his cheeks. He was crying. He had not cried in years. I did not know you were important, he said quietly. I just saw something that needed help. That is exactly why it mattered, Seraphale replied. You did not help me because I was important. You helped me because it was the right thing to do. That is rare in this universe. More rare than you know. She stood up to her full height. The room seemed smaller with her in it. When I returned to my people, I was changed. I had seen something in humans that we never noticed before. Quiet kindness, gentle strength. I rose to become elder not just because of my blood, but because of the wisdom I gained from that experience. And I swore that one day I would find the human who saved me and repay my debt. Director Kang stepped forward. His face was red with anger and fear. This is all very touching, but it has nothing to do with official business. This station has agreements with the hegemony conglomerate. We have rights. Seraphale's head turned toward him. Just that movement, just that look, was enough to make him stop talking. He stumbled backward like he had been pushed. Who are you? She asked. I am Director Kang. I represent the hegemony mining conglomerate. We have legal contracts. You are the one who has been threatening this man, trying to take his home? Director Kang's mouth opened and closed. He looked around for support, but everyone had moved away from him. It is business, he said weakly. Just business. Seraphale moved toward him. Each step made the floor shake. Her claws left marks in the metal. Let me explain something to you, small one. In Velcorian culture, when someone saves your life, you owe them a debt. A sacred debt. It can never be forgotten. It can never be ignored. And the debt of an albino, the debt of an elder, is the highest debt of all. She stopped directly in front of him. Her head lowered until her face was inches from his. Teho is now under the eternal protection of the Velcorian sovereignty. His family is under our protection. His home is under our protection. Anyone who threatens him, harms him, or causes him distress will face the full power of my fleet. Do you understand? Director Kang was shaking so hard he could barely stand. Yes. Good. You will withdraw all claims against his property. You will cancel all fines and violations. You will leave this station and never return. Do this within 1 hour, or I will consider it a personal insult. She paused. You do not want to insult me. He ran. He actually ran out of the chamber, nearly falling twice. The other conglomerate executives followed him. Hyun Woo let out a long breath. He looked at Tae-ho and started to laugh. It was a strange, relieved sound. 23 years ago, he said, I asked you what you did on that salvage job. You said nothing special. You told me it was just cleaning up old parts. Tae-ho wiped his eyes. It was nothing special. I helped a hurt animal. Anyone would have done it. Raphael made a sound that might have been a gentle laugh. No, she said. Not anyone. That is why I searched half the galaxy to find you. She turned to Yuna. The young woman had been watching everything with wide eyes. You are his daughter? Yuna nodded. She could not find words. You have a good father, Raphael said. The best I have ever known. The next few days were like a dream. News of what happened spread across the station, then across the sector, then across the whole galaxy. Everyone was talking about the old human mechanic who had saved an alien dragon princess and changed history. Reporters came from dozens of planets. They wanted interviews, photographs, exclusive stories. Tae-ho refused them all. He just wanted to work in his shop and be left alone. But Raphael was not finished with him yet. On the third day, she came to his shop. She had to lower her head to fit through the door. Her guards waited outside. Inside, it was just her, Tae-ho, and Yuna. The shop looked different now. With the conglomerate gone, supplies were flowing again. Customers had started coming back. Some of them just wanted to see the famous mechanic. But many of them actually needed repairs, and Tae-ho was happy to help. This is where you work, Raphael said. She looked around at the tools, the spare parts, the old machines waiting to be fixed. It is small. It is enough, Tae-ho replied. He was sitting on his workbench, cleaning a power coupling. He was not nervous around her anymore. She might be the most powerful being in the room, but she was also the young creature he had once held in his arms. I want to give you something, Raphael said. A reward for what you did. Tae-ho shook his head. I do not need a reward. You saved my life. I did what anyone would do. Raphael made a soft sound. It was almost a sigh. You keep saying that, but it is not true. In all my years I have met thousands of beings. Most of them are kind only when it costs them nothing, or when they expect something in return. True kindness, kindness with no hope of reward, is the rarest thing in the universe. She moved closer to him. Her golden eyes were gentle. I can give you anything. Wealth beyond counting, a planet of your own, a seat on my council with power over star systems. Name it, and it is yours. Yuna held her breath. The offer was incredible, more than anyone could dream of. But Tae-ho just smiled and shook his head again. Thank you. But no, I do not want those things. Why not? He put down his tools and looked at her honestly. Because I did not save you for reward. I saved you because you were hurt, and I could help. If I take payment for it now, it changes what that moment meant. It turns a gift into a transaction. Do you understand? Raphael was quiet for a long time. Then she did something strange. Her great eyes seemed to grow wet. Dragons could cry. "Yes," she said softly. "I understand. And that is exactly why you deserve a reward more than anyone I have ever known." She turned to Yuna. "And you, young one? Is there nothing you want?" Yuna looked at her father. He nodded, telling her it was okay to speak. She hesitated. "I have always wanted to learn, to see how things work. My father taught me mechanics, but I want to know more. I want to understand everything." Seraphile seemed pleased. "Then I offer you this. Come with my engineers, study with them, learn technologies that humans have never seen, become a bridge between our peoples. When you are ready, return and share your knowledge." Yuna's eyes went wide. "You would do that? For me? You are his daughter, his blood, his legacy. Helping you is helping him." Taeho looked at his daughter. He saw the excitement in her eyes. He also saw the fear of leaving him. "Go," he said gently. "Your mother always said you were meant for bigger things than this old station." She was right. Yuna hugged him tight. She was crying. "I will come back, I promise." "I know you will." Before Seraphael left the station, she did one more thing. She walked through the shop one final time, looking at every wall, every corner. Then she stopped in front of the main entrance. "I will leave you with a gift you cannot refuse," she said. She opened her mouth. A soft light glowed in her throat. Then, with careful precision, she breathed a stream of golden fire onto the wall beside the door. The fire did not burn. It carved. It shaped. When she finished, there was a symbol etched into the metal. It was made of lines and curves that seemed to move when you looked at them. Beautiful and ancient. "This is a mark in our sacred language," Seraphael explained. "It means place of honor. Any Velkorian who sees it will know that this place is protected. They will know that a debt of the highest kind was paid here. For as long as this station stands, you will never be troubled again." Taeho looked at the mark. It glowed faintly, like it was alive. "Thank you," he said. "For everything." Seraphael lowered her head one more time. "No. Thank you. You taught me something important all those years ago. Something my people had forgotten." "What is that?" "That kindness does not need a reason. It does not need logic or profit or gain. Sometimes kindness just is. And that is enough." She left that day. Her fleet disappeared into the stars as quickly as it had come. Yuna went with them, beginning a journey that would take her to the far edges of the galaxy. The reporters eventually stopped calling. The tourists moved on to the next big story. Life on Station Goryeo 7 returned to normal, but nothing was really the same. Tai-Ho's shop became a landmark. People came from all over to see the mark on the wall, to meet the human who had touched the heart of a dragon. He was never short of customers again. More importantly, something had changed in the way species looked at each other. Humans, who had always been considered young and unimportant, were now seen differently. If one human mechanic could show such kindness to a wounded creature, perhaps there was more to humanity than anyone had realized. Seraphael made sure the galaxy knew the story. She told it to her people, to her allies, to everyone she met. The tale of the man who asked for nothing and received everything. Years later, Taeho was working at his bench when Yuna came home. She was older now, wiser, carrying knowledge that would change human technology forever. But the first thing she did was hug her father and help him fix a broken engine. "I missed you," she said. "I missed you too." Outside, the stars burned cold and bright. Somewhere among them, a white dragon flew through the endless dark, watching over a little repair shop on a small station, making sure no harm ever came to the human who had taught her what kindness truly meant. And Taeho? He picked up his wrench and went back to work. Some things never changed, and that was exactly how it should be.